Hey everybody, it's Chuck Esposito here with Jason McCormick at Red Rocks Racing Sportsbook. It's big game time, Jay. It's an exciting time for us. I think all the hard work is done. These prop packets, I think we're going to call it Propatopia. They're out now. Everybody's walking around with a prop packet in their hand, and that's what makes it so much fun, I think, is that it's not just about the game, but it's about these packets as well. There's probably over 1,000 different ways to bet the game. This is our largest packet we've ever had for the big game. And then you look at the game itself. Early action clearly on the Chiefs. They drove that number up. The total overwhelmingly in one direction. They're looking for a lot of scoring here. Only the second time in pro football history you've got the number one offensive team, passing offense, the Chiefs, against the number one rushing team, the 49ers. Both championships games went over. The Pro Bowl even went over. So they're looking for scoring in this game. Those are kind of interesting storylines, but I think the props is what everybody's kind of talking about right now.
Yeah, I mean, you look at last year's Super Bowl, similar total. We have a total of 55 this year. Last year we had a total of 56, and that game had a record under where we saw the final points, only 16 points.
Yay, sportsbooks!
in a 13-3 final. So, again, predicting a lot of points this year. Hope to see a lot of scoring. However,
wait a minute, we don't hope to see a lot of scoring.
Anything can happen in those games. Right. Over, under, 6.5 touchdowns. Adding to that, though, we talked about the early action coming in on Chiefs. We have seen Niner money. We're starting to see a little bit more balance in Niner money. And we still have kind of one underlying storyline that hasn't been answered, and that's really the San Francisco running back situation. Obviously, Mostert was awesome in the championship game, but Tevin Coleman's always been a big part of that offensive rushing, as well as Matt Breida. Coleman dislocated his shoulder in the championship, is expected to be back. He comes back. What does that actually mean to that offense? Still expect Mostert to carry the most of the ball, but if Coleman's hot or Breida's hot, he could elect to stick with those guys. So something to be answered there from a San Francisco standpoint, and really a key to the game of them being able to run the ball and keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands.
Yeah, I think even if for some reason Coleman's not there, they can still use the two-headed monster in Breida and Mostert. But you look at a Niner team that's averaged over 140 yards rushing. I think for them, what's the key is keeping the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands, being able to run the ball, eat up clock, and not give Mahomes that chance. And he's going up against a solid defense here. You look at they came back against the Texans and Titans after trailing 24 points and 10 points. I don't think that's the case against the 49ers. Not with that defense. I think that's what makes this game so intriguing is will one of these teams get out to a big lead, or is the other team capable of coming back?
Well, and that you can answer those questions in the props that you look at, and we've got there's a zillion different ways to bet the game. One of the things that I look at outside of just betting the game itself from the side total or the money line is taking a look at those special point spreads. If you're a big fan of the Niners, you think that they're going to have a chance to win this game big, you've got an ability to lay 3.5 points all the way up to 13.5 points and get paid big money. And what I mean by that is laying 10.5 points. So you're going to say the Niners are going to win by more than 10.5. You're going to be able to get 3-1, 4-1 on your money. And the same thing on the Chiefs. If you're a big Chiefs fan, I think that they have the ability to blow the Niners out. You can lay 4.5 to 14.5.
That's interesting when you say that about the Niners minus 10.5 for a big number like that. Patrick Mahomes in his career has never lost a game by more than 7 points. So you're getting a really good price there. If you think the Niners can get out to that big lead and hold that lead or win by a big number, you're getting an extremely good price.
No, a lot of props on the board. I know we want to kind of, before we kick off the props that we have available here, what's your worst bad prop in your career?
I was afraid you were going to go there. It's the Chicago Bears and Indianapolis Colts, 2006. We had a prop on the board. Would Devin Hester score a touchdown? We all knew that Hester was, the Pro Bowl return guy, kicks and punts, didn't really play that much at wide out. Would he score the first touchdown of the game? Would there be a special teams touchdown of the game? Well, the Bears ended up receiving the opening kickoff, and we all know the rest is history. The book sounded like a jet. It's the loudest I've ever heard a sports book in my entire career because it was the very first play, and not only was it exciting and it was a touchdown, but so many guests cashed that day. I think from an industry, you had to lose upper six figures or maybe seven figures on the very first play of the game. It wasn't even a minute old at that point. And I'm mad at Tony Dungy, though, because he said, we're not going to kick to Hester. We're going to make them work for their points. And then on the bus, on the way over, this is a true story, he told his team, we are who we are. We're going to muscle this team up. We're going to kick to Hester, and we're going to stop him. Guess what? It didn't happen. Long faces on our side of the counter, and it was the very first play of the game.
Not to mention, me and you are diehard Bear fans, and Devin Hester scoring the first touchdown was a good thing.
It was a good thing from a fan's perspective for us.
Then they went on to blow the game, and so from there. I actually looked at just 2 years ago. It's funny that it's a prop that we created together. It was the Patriots-Falcons Super Bowl, and we were looking. The Super Bowl record was 455 passing yards by Tom Brady, and we came up with a prop of will Matt Ryan or Tom Brady break that record. And of course the Falcons got it out to the huge lead. Brady all the way in the comeback, throwing the ball every play. Game goes into overtime. Brady ends up throwing for 505 passing yards.
Don't remind me.
The prop that we created and had everybody betting that record would be broken. We cost ourselves a lot of money there.
And players have done really well too. I mean, we offered so many straight years. Would there be a safety? It doesn't happen forever, and we collect. We collect for all those years, and then back to back, you have Brady with the intentional grounding in the end zone, and then you have the opening snap too. Very early in the game, the ball goes over Peyton Manning's head, and another safety. The 2-point conversion is one that they play frequently, and in that game that you just talked about, we had with the game go into overtime, and a game's never gone into overtime. Guess what? It went into overtime. But I think that's what makes it so much fun. And as you alluded to, there's so many different props on the board. There's so many ways to bet the game. And I think with these two teams, so offensive-minded, that we put a bunch of props up for the first half as well. Yeah,
again, trying to get out there with some interesting stuff. We put up a lot of the receiver props on their total receiving yards in the first half. Again, a way to bet the game and be able to cash by halftime and then be able to invest that money again in the second half wagering or any of the in-play wagering that's going on. So we've seen a huge popularity in first quarter wagering in basketball and football and first period wagering in hockey. So just another avenue to bet first half wagering receiving yards in the props.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the props too, you don't have to like one of the two teams. You might not be a Niner fan or a Chief fan, but there's so many ways to bet the game that there are guests walking around with 50, 100 props, and they're hooting and hollering based on Kittle going over receptions or Kelsey or Hill or something exciting happening in the game. It's not a score necessarily, and the room goes crazy. And I think that's what makes it so much fun.
And it's not all offensive props. Right. It's not all scoring props. We have props on a lot of defensive players, interceptions, sacks, all that type of stuff to happen. When you really think about any aspect of the game, there's probably a prop somewhere in this packet that's associated to that play during the game.
And we have MVP up as well. And remember, it wasn't that long ago that Von Miller was MVP. So you look at Bosa as possibly an MVP candidate. But I think the props that we have so much fun with are the creative props, the cross-sport props. We've done so many in the past that are tied, say, to Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods or Mike Tyson or LeBron James or picking the winner of the big game to the winner of the Daytona 500. Well, I think we did great this year. I mean, I love the prop that has the total touchdowns in the game, that if you do the math, would be 6.5 touchdowns based on Las Vegas Raiders regular season wins this year, and we have that up at 6.5. So that's kind of cool and fun as well. But there's one that I know that you came up with that we love, that's getting a lot of media and water cooler chatter. Has to do with the hot stove league a little bit. So I'll let you talk about that.
Well, first of all, when you grab our packet, the props we're talking about are on page 19, our cross-sport props. And again, we have a lot of fun with these. These are very unique, mostly probably just available on our station sportsbooks. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about the Houston Astros and what's happened there with ceiling signs and that type of stuff. And so we looked at the total number of home runs that the Astros will hit at home during the regular season this year, and we paired it up with 49ers rushing yards. And the 49ers rushing yards is somewhere around 134.5. The Astros hit 150 home runs at home this year.
Up from 92 the year before, so quite a dramatic change based on the information we've received.
And we made it essentially a pick 'em. Right. So you've got the Astros homers to the Niners rushing yards. So if you think the Niners rushing yards are going to be great, you can bet them to overtake the Astros homers. Or if you think that Kansas City defense is really going to be focused on stopping the run, maybe the Astros homers the way to go. But definitely a kind of a push the button, poke the bear on what's going on with the Astros.
Love that prop. I like the one too we have up is will there be more than 75 points scored? And the highest scoring big game ever was in 1995. That was between the 49ers and the Chargers. That game happened to be in the same stadium in Miami. They scored 75 points in that game. So with these two offenses, can they score more points than that? I think that's an interesting one as well. And we have up a
and that's up at plus 600.
Right.
You get 6 to
tremendous
1.
value
6
there.
to 1,
Yep.
70. And again, with the total, a lot of money coming in on the over. No reason to think that, hey, this game couldn't go way over. Couldn't get another overtime to push it even further than that. I like, again, what we focused on again here locally with the Golden Knights.
Love it. Right.
A lot of cross-board props to the Golden Knights. We've got the number of goals they'll score on Saturday versus the Predators versus Travis Kelce. We've got Marc-Andre Fleury saves. Again, he's going to be suspended for Thursday's game, but he'll come back and play in Saturday's game or Friday's game. Come back and play Saturday game. We got his saves versus Deebo Samuel's first half receiving yards. And then kind of the one that we kind of like the best is we paired up the Stone and Smith and Pacioretty. So again, a lot of the times those guys are playing on the same line or potentially on the power play together. So we've got Stone, Smith, and Pacioretty's points scored versus Nashville versus Patrick Mahomes' touchdown passes. Again, so that'll be fun and interesting. And
it's not just about the Knights, though. I mean, we looked at what else is going on that day. You've got Zion Williamson, who we know is back right now, so we have a prop up with him. We've got something tied to the Capitals and Penguins that day, something to LeBron James. So anything that we can kind of be creative with, and maybe you're not a football fan, but you're a basketball fan or a hockey fan. We've got something that's tied to that. I think that's what makes the big game so much fun, and I think so many guests are walking around with one of these colored packets at all of our properties, having fun with it, talking about it, and betting these props because it really keeps you in action throughout the entire course of the game. But another key component, we know all the books will be packed. We love when you guys come out and enjoy everything we have to offer, and we hope we see everybody on Big Game Sunday and that weekend. But if for some reason you can't make it or you don't want to wait in one of those long lines, there's another great option.
Yeah, the STN mobile app, the supervisors are ready to get you signed up. You're going to be able to bet all of these props and the game right from your couch at home or wherever you may be enjoying the Super Bowl party. You're also going to be able to tune in and be able to bet in play, which will happen throughout the game. We talked about that Falcons
28-3
debacle that Kyle Shanahan was a part of that happening. So that amazing comeback that the Patriots were able to do, you were able to get in and bet the in play.
I'd be scared what that plus price would have been on the Patriots for that game. But it's funny that you mentioned that because Kyle Shanahan has talked about that. Like, what would I have done different of being up 28-3? It'll be interesting to see if he's up big in this game, what happens.
Yeah, but don't be afraid to come in, get yourself signed up for that app. There's still the $50 bonus available. You won't have to battle the lines on Super Bowl Saturday, Super Bowl Sunday. Again, you'll be able to do it right up until game time. Go through these thousands of props at the convenience of your house and look at the app. Can't encourage you enough to sign up for the app. And, as we talk about the props, I always tell people that you have to bet the player to score the first touchdown. There's nothing like that anticipation of that first score. But we added kind of some uniqueness to it. We've always offered player to score the first touchdown and player to score the last touchdown, and we get so much betting on those two options. We actually offer now player to score the last touchdown of the first half. So right before the halftime, you can be cheering or hope that your guy scored the first touchdown, and then there's no more scoring in the first half, and he's still the guy to score the last touchdown. And we offer now the player to score the first touchdown of the second half. So if things didn't go your way in the first half, things didn't go your way with that player to score the first touchdown, you can kind of reset yourself at halftime. We've got the player to score the first touchdown in the second half.
I think with this game, I'm just thinking about it, we should have had a prop up that was, will the player who scores the last touchdown of the first half score the first touchdown of the second half?
But we do have a lot of those. I mean, we do have
it's so much fun.
Will Kittle and Kelce score. Will Mostert and Williams score. Will Hill and Kelce score. So if you can think of the prop, check out the packet. You're probably going to find it.
Right.
I think that we did a lot of props specifically focused on the tight ends.
Absolutely.
I think that
with these two guys.
Kittle and Kelce were a big portion of the props that we focused on. For me, Kittle is actually the key to the game for the 49ers. We talk about their rushing game and what's going to happen. I think that the Chiefs do make a concentrated effort to stop that running game. Kittle in the regular two subpar games in the playoffs because they were able to run the ball so successfully. But 7 of the 10 games, the last 10 games of the regular season, Kittle was over that 71.5 yards that we have his posted total at. So I think that, again, George Kittle could be a big, big key for the 49ers. I think he has to have a big game for them to be able to pull this off. And so that might be something you look at from a prop standpoint is George Kittle.
If they're definitely struggling running the ball, I think it becomes really at that point Garoppolo and Kittle. What can they do to move the ball downfield? But we're in an information information era, gang. There's so much information out there on all these props and stats. Have fun with it. Stay within your means. Good luck this weekend. Can't wait to see you guys walking around with these prop sheets. Any questions, feel free to ask either one of us or any of our book supervisors or managers at any of our properties. Should be a great game. We'll chat with you guys soon. Good luck again, and go ahead, Jay.
Loaded with beverage specials. Sunday, while you're here, the beers will be flowing. Beverage specials will be available.
All right, you guys. We'll see you soon. Thanks.